Our show's what you know. We'll always watch TV. And if you think we can't, we'll watch more and you'll see. That's why the people of the web believe in Jim from Las Vegas and Jacob from Sweden.
Shows What You Know, your television podcast. I am Jim from Las Vegas.
I'm Jacob from Sweden. Welcome back to an in-between week. It's the week before Cobra Kai. It's the week before the Acolyte finale. Well, don't you worry. We're gonna kick it this week, and you're here to kick it with us. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's very lax week. I mean, nothing of major political importance has happened in the news to really drown out TV discussions. Just been business as usual, if you will. But we must soldier on. Now, I guess it's interesting to think about because, you know, maybe we don't realize how spoiled we've been in this relaunch of Shows What You Know, this requel, this legacy sequel, this reboot of Shows What You Know that we've done. We've been kind of lousy with TV premieres and show discussions and news. I guess this is a week that proves that it's not always going to be like that. Huh? We won't always have a Fallout to discuss, or The Boys, or The Bear, or what have you, huh?
Yeah, we should have appreciated them all while we had them. And you know what? I think what we're still seeing now is like, we're still in the plentiful days of bounty. And give it a year, I think, from the strike yet. And I think it's going to be real shit eventually. But so far, so good. I mean, there's still things coming out. The Boys is currently releasing, and as is House of the Dragon, as is The Acolyte. You know, the three best shows.
But yeah, we're still going to talk a little bit about some of the news going on right now. We're going to get into some stuff that we've been watching, and we'll probably circle back around at the end with a little rapid five, or a little bit that we do. It's a Shows What You Know exclusive.
I'll tell you what's in the news this week. So the one interesting bit of news I saw was that they've now wrapped filming on a TV show that I hadn't heard of, but I was quite interested in, and I wanted to tell you about it. So a TV show called King and Conqueror, which is a BBC and CBS co-production. It stars Nikolaj Coster-Walkdau as William The Conqueror. So this is the leading up to the Battle of Hastings, 1066. This is like, you know, what is it, like 1786 or whatever. That's a big date for you, right? 1066 is a huge date in English and, dare I say, European history.
Wait, did you say 1776 or 1786?
I said the wrong one, but I meant 1776.
All right. I'm just happy to get one over on you on history. I don't know anything about history, but I do know my 1776.
Hey, my name's Jacob Burrows, and I don't know anything about history, all right? So I do run on the Shows What You Know network a podcast called Real History, where we discuss historical movies and TV shows. So this is a promising one about, well, William the Conqueror in that time period. It's an 8-part historical drama. It also stars James Norton, who I'm not super familiar with, but he's in there. He's also an executive producer and is involved with his production company. And it's created by Michael Robert Johnson, who I guess his most notable credit is he was the writer, or one of the writers, on Sherlock Holmes, the Guy Ritchie one. I just assumed Guy Ritchie shit that one out himself. It is a good film, but you know how Guy Ritchie is. But no, it was Michael Robert Johnson alongside a couple of other people, and he's now written King and Conqueror. It was in the news this week as they officially wrapped filming in Iceland, and they also announced a bunch more people who are part of the cast as well. So I don't know exactly when it's coming out, but I was like, oh, interesting. This is definitely something that'll come up on Real History. If not, Shows What You Know.
Because I'm looking at it now, because I'm trying to get what the feeling of the vibe would be then, as far as like the show. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking at some of the directors, but I don't recognize them from much. But I guess with the writer, I can't tell if he was involved in those Guy Ritchie Sherlock films, if that's like, is this going to be like a heightened history? Is this going to be like a gritty, realistic look at history? Like, what kind of vibe do you think you're getting off of something like this?
It was a good question, but I think it's a BBC production. It's a historical drama series. I think my guess is that they're playing it relatively straight. That they're it's this is a very dramatic time. It's wars. It's big battles. It's got all the hallmarks of like. You wouldn't do this unless you were wanted to do big battle sequences. And if you want to do big battle sequences, you probably want to play it relatively straight because you're kind of relying on that as to keep people interested rather than just doing a wacky, irreverent Knight's Tale type twist on history.
I was going to say, because if you don't know anything about history and I don't know anything about history, then we're in trouble. Because I'm looking at it real quick. I think I like that they sometimes called William the Conqueror William the Bastard. And I feel like that should be the name of the show because that would sell. If I saw a show that was called William the Bastard, I would be watching it.
I think you're actually right. That would be a better name. Did you know William the Conqueror is kind of the inspiration for the Targaryens coming over to Westeros and sort of starting up their realm? They're basically that wave of invaders coming over into that they're the analogous part from the fake history that is Game of Thrones. William the Conqueror is basically Aegon the Conqueror. That's why it's Aegon the Conqueror and Aegon the Bastard.
I did not know that. See, the thing is, I'm kind of a dumb shit with stuff like that.
Sure.
I could sit here and tell you about, actors that were in this movie and that movie and like the dates these movies came out and what they meant. But when it comes to like actual history, and especially even though I love movies and TV, I don't really love historical movies and TV unless you got like a dwarf or something, and a dwarf, like a hobbit or an orc or something like that. Then I'm in. I'm all in.
Okay, well, it's probably not. If there's an orc, it's probably not historical fiction, or then it's probably more alternative fiction or similar.
No, you know what I mean, though, is like, well, yeah, you're right. Like, naming wise, that's obviously that's an incorrect description. But, sometimes people will defend Game of Thrones and be like, well, that's what they did back then. And it's like, what do you mean back then when? That show is not real. But sometimes people like openly like throw about like terms almost thinking like, because you get that it's going for almost like a piece of our history, but obviously it's a fantasy version of it or whatever. I'm thinking about it in those respects.
Yeah, we've discussed maybe doing an episode of Real History about Game of Thrones, and it would just kind of be an excuse to talk about the War of the Roses, which is the part of English history that sort of inspired it. But, no one gives a shit about Game of Thrones anymore anyway. So even though every Monday when I try to look for TV news on every TV news website, there's like 8 articles that have just been published about House of the Dragon. And I'm like, none of these are actually news. It's just kind of because there's a new episode out. There's a bunch of articles about nothing in here. But anyway,
well, I mean,
I'm looking forward to this one anyway. But I do think you're right. William the Bastard would have been a better name.
But I do think Game of Thrones is back on the come up, or at least House of the Dragon is, because I don't know if it's just because I've been doing this show with you and it comes up every now and then, but I do feel like I'm hearing more and more people talk about it. And also, I mean, if we're being honest here, like not to say that, what's his name? Nikolaj?
Yeah.
Not to say he's not like a great actor, but I assume they're like, ooh, we can get a little Game of Thrones type rub off of this here if we cast him. But you know what? Now that I've been doing more shows with you and of course with Real History, I might have to start taking a little more of a peek at some historical fiction.
Well, there's quite a lot of good stuff out there. I'm happy to give you some recommendations. But as I said, hoping this will be a good one. We always hope it's a good one. Surely you're looking forward to Gladiator 2, though, coming out real soon.
I was going to ask you about that. Although I haven't seen Gladiator since I was a wee lad. I saw it in theaters. It was one of those movies I always I kind of liked, but I that movie, if you were around at the time, everyone loved Gladiator. I mean, watch Sopranos. Ralphie loved Gladiator, if you remember correctly. So Gladiator 2, I thought the trailer looked cool. People were kind of upset that there was hip hop music in the trailer. I don't know. That could be something the Real History could talk about, or a Knight's Tale expert like yourself could maybe get into.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that like that was like so many comments about that. I'm like, guys, it's not going to be in the movie. It's Ridley Scott. He doesn't like hip hop or anything. He doesn't like anything. He's not going to put this music in the actual movie. So I think everyone just needs to chill out on that front. I thought the trailer looked great. I mean, Ridley Scott is quite the director, you know, especially in the realm of historical movies. He's just been dropping one enormous budget film every year. You know, imagine just making Napoleon the movie one year. Now, I didn't love Napoleon, but imagine making that film. And then the next year, I think I'm going to drop Gladiator 2. And this motherfucker is so old. I don't know how he does it. But clearly it's not, he doesn't worry about what anyone else thinks anyway, which is, I suppose, a good thing.
Well, my slight connection to Gladiator 2 as well, not really a connection to the production or anything, but I live in Las Vegas. As you know, I'm Jim from Las Vegas. About a month, maybe 2 months ago. Yeah, it must have been in May, actually. It was like early May. Every now and then here, they do these secret film screenings. They're screenings of movies that are coming out. Like they just say, hey, this is a action movie, blockbuster. It might be rated this. In this case, it was like, this movie's going to be rated R. Here's an invitation. You must show up early because like we're limited to capacity. So I went down to this theater, which is like 30 minutes away from me, myself and my fiance, and we got in this huge line. I think everyone thought it was going to be Deadpool and Wolverine. Everyone's like, oh my God, that we're going to get an early screening of Deadpool and Wolverine. It's a rated R blockbuster film. And what they started doing is they started pulling people out of the line. Like they started building like a second line and doing all this shit, which was so annoying. I mean, like fast forward, like spoiler alert, I didn't get into this screening because they kept pulling people out of the line to fill demographics. And the problem with me, I would have been perfect. They started pulling single guys out because they only wanted guys to go see this movie. And so the fact that I was with my fiance, they kept skipping over me and pulling other people. And they any like if there were groups of women or if there was just like one, like because they started asking like, oh, are you with someone? You with someone? They started just pulling women out of the line and being like, yeah, you're not gonna get in. Here's a free ticket. You can go see something else. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? But they still made us wait until like right up until a few minutes before it was supposed to start. And then they were like attempted to give us free, like they wanted to take my information down to give me a free pass. And it's like, I have a thing called Regal Unlimited. I already paid $20 a month to see as many movies as I want. So I in a huff, I was like, I don't need it. And I just like stormed away. And I was dying to know what the film was. Cause again, it was a mystery film. And I happened to stumble upon an article a few days later that it was Gladiator 2. It was the like longer cut. I think it was, well, I mean, I guess the movie's probably going to be about 3 hours either way, but whatever it was the rough cut of the film. And there, some of the early reactions are that people were getting sick during some of the grotesque, I don't know if it was like lion attacks or some sort of animal attacks that are in the movie. But I could have been one of the lucky to see it, but unfortunately, I was not a single man by himself.
That's so funny. I mean, so annoying that you didn't get to see it. I couldn't quiz you about it and make you break your NDA. But the fact that they were going down like, all right, dudes, we need dudes for this one. Yeah, I was already like, sounds like Gladiator, all right, because that film kickstarted, you know, millions and millions of dudes' interest in Roman history. It's the reason half of everyone who has an SPQR tattoo has an SPQR tattoo. The other half is just Nazism. So it's kind of like a Venn diagram there.
I don't think I even know what that is. I don't know.
It's just yeah, well, just check out Real History at showswhatyouknow.com to learn more.
Yeah, you don't want. We'll just get in the weeds if we start going down that avenue. From what I gather, huh?
Yeah. Very much so. So that's my big piece of news, I suppose. Again, don't really know when it's coming out, but I like hearing these. Like as I said, so much of the news when I'm sifting through it is just trash. It's just like, can you believe this episode of Star Trek from 80 years ago? I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I didn't want to hear about something that's happening now, or at least coming up in the future. I feel like it's so hard to be aware of what shows are coming out in the future, unless it's like one that you're already waiting for. And I guess that's why we're here, to help you out, the dear listeners.
Yes, and I did want to, we probably won't go too deep into this, but I did want to mention that the Apple TV Plus show Severance, they released a teaser, which did list the 2025 release date, which I believe January 17th. They'll start with season 2, which does put it at basically more than 2 years since the season 1 finale ended on a cliffhanger, if I might add. Okay, well, actually, a little like season 1 of Severance premiered on the streamer. Okay, February 18th. So it would be more than 2 years.
It's almost 3. Just shy of 3 years.
But this is also the thing we talked about, because there's so much I've forgotten about Severance season 1. I mean, I love the show. It is one of those where I will have to make sure I go back and do a rewatch as we gear up for season 2. And I know there are some things in there that couldn't be helped, between like a writer's strike and an actor's strike. But outside of that, like, this shit is unacceptable. I mean, come on now.
I really liked Severance season 1, and I've already forgotten so much about it, and we have to wait another 6 months or whatever. My partner Una was watching some of the first season, and I sat down and watched some of it, and I was like, oh, we're already seeing this in like episode 2 or whatever. I'm like, wait, what happens in this show? Because what you remember from Severance is a vibe. You remember what it's like inside the place. You remember what it's like outside the place. Severance, if you don't know, is the concept is people go into work and then their sort of mind is rended in twain, where basically when they go into work, they have no memory of who they are outside of the workplace, and vice versa. In the real world, they have no idea what's happening in this place they work. And it's sort of weird and culty, and what is happening in there, and why are they actually doing this Severance experiment? All that type of stuff. And it was really good. But it's also like, I couldn't tell you what happens in episode 5 or whatever. And House of the Dragon, I think I really suffered from not rewatching the first season. So I will definitely watch the full Severance season, because I really enjoyed it. So I don't want to spend the first few episodes going, huh? Who's that guy? What's happening?
Although maybe that's part of the experience, because then it's like, oh, my innie watched the show, and I don't know what my innie knows. I'm the outie, so I'm going into season 2. That's all. That's some inside Severance stuff for you. But it gets into the whole thing of like, so if you have a different, like, it's essentially a different personality that is your work personality, but all he knows is work, and basically when he goes to sleep is when you're out of work, and it almost is essentially 2 different people. But then if you lose that job or quit that job and that person's destroyed, like, the idea of self, who is the self, and are you killing someone? It's great stuff. I'm excited to rewatch it. But then again, I also don't want to rewatch it yet. I want to get a little bit closer to the premiere. So it's exciting times, because it is one of those shows where I specifically remember, like, when the strikes happened, I was like, fuck. Well, there's like one of the first thoughts I had was like, well, that's more time to wait until the new Severance. Like, that's how good this show is. It was like at the front of my mind when most of this stuff was happening. Like, and even when they finally like struck a deal, I was like, hell yeah, let's get Severance season 2 going then. So excited for that. If you haven't watched it, check out season 1. If you weren't aware if you did watch season 1 and you weren't aware there is a new teaser out, check that out. Get excited. And then one thing we don't know anything about, but we're going to bring it up.
Great.
Just because, I mean, again, like a running thing that we get into is like I guess the hellscape that is entertainment and storytelling, as a business, is because there's a new season of Big Brother, and I'm not poo-pooing it, because if you know anything about me, I'm a big reality guy for the most part. At least for the shows that I like. I get into Survivor. I love The Challenge. I watch Love is Blind on Netflix, stuff like that. I've never really watched Big Brother. I'm aware of Big Brother contestants because they do pop up on shows I watch, like The Challenge. And there's not a lot of information about this yet, but I do think it's kind of interesting, is they've announced or teased at this thing called Big Brother AI, that's going to take over the Big Brother house, is what they're teasing in their press release. So I wonder if there's really anything to that, or if it's just another like buzz. Like AI is obviously a big buzzword that we use now. It's interesting to even use it as a buzzword for marketing because for the most part, whenever it's brought up in a negative light. But then again, I could see how it could be fun. So Jacob, from our like surface level bird's eye view here, is this something that could be a fun thing, or is this just another nail in the coffin of creativity?
The only way it can really be a fun thing is if it's like fully like locks them inside, starts setting small fires, you know, they try to get out. I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. Like that would be a show people would watch. That would be like, oh, we accidentally Squid Gamed it. You know, the robot human wars have started and they started in the Big Brother house. How ironic and unsurprising that we're basically creating these we're already creating gladiatorial type games where emotionally people are duking it out, going to extreme absurd lengths for clout, both online and in reality television. So why shouldn't we just, fire that up with AI? But to be clear, we don't really know what they're doing. They're just kind of throwing it out there like, hey, remember ChatGPT? We're going to do that. Or do they just mean that it's going to be, are they going to do like live stream all day, but the AI decides what camera to do? Like that's a really reasonable way to use AI. Or is it like, no, there's an AI contestant and his name is Doug. We don't know.
That's what I was going to say is I would hope that it's an AI contestant that they somehow, like, no one ever sees them, but they don't communicate enough with each other to realize that no one else has seen them. You just kind of hear this voice every now and then, like, oh, hey, I'm in the bathroom. I'll come out and see it a little bit. But it's just the AI. And then it's like, oh, I was talking to Marty by the pool, and we were thinking of doing blah, blah, blah. And he's, like, planting seeds and causing drama. And no one realizes that no one's actually seen AI Doug. They've only heard a voice. And it's completely AI driven.
Well, are you familiar with the show The Circle?
No, I know the name. That's a Netflix show?
Yeah, it's a reality show that's basically the people on it don't meet. They're kind of communicating via text or like social media, but they're doing it like from different rooms in an apartment complex or whatever the fuck. They did have like an AI contestant, a sort of catfish AI in there. So they beat Big Brother to throwing AI into it and to see what happens with their sort of, oh, we're going to have a contestant named Max, who's a 26-year-old single man, dog dad, and he's playing with authenticity and kindness, except he's a robot. Now, obviously, I've never watched this show, but this isn't the first time that reality television, they've thrown AI in there just to kind of try to spice things up, make things a bit interesting.
I mean, one thing about Big Brother that is kind of weird to me is there are really hardcores that do sit and watch the live feeds. Never mind, it's a show that has, I think at least three episodes a week, where they just kind of are doing recaps or edits of what has happened the past few days, and then they have like a challenge or something, and then they have a vote. But then there are some people that are just hardcore, just have the feeds going, and they cap them and stuff because they might find some of the more juicier, dramatic moments that don't always make the show. So, I mean, you got to be hardcore to be a Big Brother fan. The main reason why I haven't watched it is just like there's just so many episodes. You know, I'm down for a good reality TV drama, but I'd rather watch just like a slickly edited version of it. Very much similar to if people are like extremely online. What's the name of that show? Friend of mine, Jeff, watched
Fish Tank.
Fish Tank, yes. Which that was a similar thing where they did have the live stream cameras going on in the house. I mean, that's not a new thing. A lot like things do that. But then I was like, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to have to monitor social media channels that tell me when cool stuff happens or watch the live feeds to check for something cool. I'd rather wait for the slickly edited version. But then it seemed like when Fish Tank finally released their episodes, the people that watched it were like, oh, the episodes aren't even that great. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just not going to watch it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it feels like the what Big Brother is doing with all of the being able to live stream it and everything. It's almost like culture has caught up with that. Like
Mm.
I mean, I guess they were. It's not like they were doing that back when the show first came out, but like it's been part of the concept the whole time that you're with these people all the time and you're sort of catching every moment. And these days people just stream like them going to sleep or whatever, again, hundreds of thousands of people, and I'm like, at least 10% of these people have to be jerking off, right? Because why else would you watch this shit? But it's like people are I don't know if it's like being European, and a lot of the creators I would be interested in are in the US, so maybe I've never been as into live streaming as so many people are, whether it's gaming or whatever. Jim and Them, your podcast, the episodes start at 3 a.m. for me, so I don't know if that's why I was never that into the streaming side of online, but it feels like the general sense that of Twitch and every other streaming platform, it's kind of caught up with Big Brother now. So I can imagine there being a lot of people who are like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna watch the live streams and cap it, and I'm gonna have a TikTok where I put all the caps that I've done, and I'm gonna get more views than the official Big Brother one. And all that is obviously great for the reality show people, because they're just like, all publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, very true. Because there are a lot of IRL streamers now that basically are just, whether it be sleeping or just their day to day. Because nowadays you can have a camera that's just wireless, or hell, just your phone. And hey, we're going to Taco Bell, and we're just streaming it. We're doing this, and we're getting into fights, and a lot of that. A lot of like, let's escalate the situation to make sure the content is engaging. Great stuff. Yeah. Anyways, so I will say at the very least, this buzzword here, this Big Brother AI, at least piqued my interest enough where I want to know what it's going to be, but mostly because I assume it's going to be something very dumb. So we'll see. But anyways, moving right along. What TV shows have you been watching? Tell me, I gotta know. Jacob, what TV shows you been watching?
Oh man, I've been watching a bunch of TV shows, but the first and main one I want to talk about is I've been watching The X-Files Season 2.
I've seen episodes of The X-Files. My parents or my mom liked it when I was a kid. I never really got into it though. But I have seen an episode here or there. Obviously, I'm aware of The X-Files. When I got into TV, like with like Buffy and stuff like that, I mean, obviously The X-Files was on. I was aware of it. But for whatever reason, it was just one of those shows that didn't hook me. Now, is this a rewatch for you, or like, are you an X-Files head from way back?
Not really. No, it would have been like on late at night when I was growing up as well, but it was like a little too spooky for me to watch. Buffy, coming out a few years later, was just about like I could kind of watch Buffy. It aired in the day. X-Files was like, oh no, this is real scary. It's got more of the horror elements. We have to have it late at night. So I have watched previously, I've kind of tried to get into it before, started with season 1, and I watched a lot of season 1, but I kind of was skipping through. I was doing looking up what episodes people recommend, or like making sure I got the overall story, or like just trying to make sure I liked it enough. I didn't want to watch a bunch of shit episodes and then not enjoy it. But I've basically watched, I think, 90% of season 1, but that was years ago, and I couldn't even remember which ones I'd watched, which ones I hadn't watched. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just blank slate. I'm starting season 2, which I know you hate.
I do hate this.
I'm starting season 2, and I've just been going straight through. I'm watching all of them now. There's no skipping, no bullshit. Going the full arc, getting all the Monster of the Week stuff. And I guess I'm doing it because I've always been a fan of the sort of Monster of the Week genre, the supernatural procedural, right? And what is the epitome of that if not The X-Files?
Yeah. When does Vince Gilligan... Well, I mean, I guess maybe you don't know yet, but when does Vince Gilligan come on the show?
Definitely not yet.
Yeah.
Let me look it up, actually. Yeah.
And I've been in my algorithm or what have you, on like Twitter or X, whatever. I've been getting more and more people, maybe because I get random people talking about Buffy. I'll get random tweets about X-Files. And there was a recent one that I saw a few different people tweeting about. It is a Vince Gilligan episode, I think, about almost like a inbred family or something like that, that people kept being like, I saw this as a kid and I thought this is what every X-Files episode was like, and I was horrified to ever watch the show. So I think it is something that I'll probably have to take the plunge sooner or later as well, to finally, I'll have to follow my own advice, because I tried to tell people to watch Buffy that weren't around to watch Buffy, but you have to try to explain to them, even though people know this, but you have to be like, remember, this is the 90s on television, so, effects are dated, plus, the 90s movies, the big blockbusters, some of their effects are dated, never mind a smaller budget TV show, and sometimes there's cheesiness involved, but it's usually deliberate. So I'm sure there's similar stuff, not that it's X-Files is cheesy, but just putting yourself in a different mindset. Oh, it is? I don't even really know.
The first note, I have a few bullet points on what I wanted to tell you about it. The first bullet point just says the cheese, which is really just to kind of underline all of the bits that, all that good stuff, all that Garth Marenghi in real life stuff that you want is definitely fully in there. You can tell they're not working with a huge budget, and even weird, I don't know, just strange stuff, and the acting is not amazing. Obviously the main cast, they're decent enough actors, but you get whoever, they're doing 25 episodes per season, they're doing 1.5 seasons per year or something. You gotta put these things out, man. So just the way they put it together, they do so much with so little, but still a lot of the cheesiness is almost like, if it wasn't cheesy, it would almost be too spooky for me. I like the cheese. I like it, kind of makes it feel like home when you're switching it on. So yeah, there's the cheese. There's season 2 is the season where Gillian Anderson is pregnant. So every shot of her is her sitting at a desk. Every shot of her is on the phone somewhere, and you don't see her lower half. And then they basically rewrote the whole season because they're like, fuck, she's not going to be here. We have to have her abducted by aliens or something. And then they have to change up the whole. And then after the fact, they're like, this is the best thing that ever happened to the X-Files. Has all of that flying by the seat of your pants television making that we're I don't know, I guess we're nostalgic for, you and me, these days, because we always end up talking about it.
That's true. It does look like Vince Gilligan came on, or at least his first credited writing was on season 2, episode 23. So
yeah,
he was
haven't gotten there yet. I was looking that up as well. So he has 1 episode in season 2, season 3, and then it's 5 episodes, 6 episodes, a bunch. He's written shitloads of them then moving forward. So looking forward to that. And you can really tell I just like that. Call me crazy. I just like that all the episodes have different concepts. And, if you don't like it, it's I'll move on to the next one. It'll probably be a completely different vibe. This is still early on in the show, so they're kind of, they haven't started subverting expectations and doing a bunch of weird shit that I know they probably get into later on. But just new ideas, weird, different stuff. One other weird thing at this stage is seeing all the pre-internet conspiracy theorists, because obviously it's so romanticized, I want to believe the truth is out there, the government is out to get you. It just makes me long for the days when it was oh, I like to go for a hike and try to take pictures of Bigfoot. Nowadays conspiracy theories is all, let's storm the Capitol, so so it's real weird, because I don't know how the X-Files would work in today's society, because the way that conspiracies work is so different these days. You don't just have a kooky aunt who has a subscription to some magazine about cryptids. It's no, we're gonna go, I don't know, bomb something.
And tangentially related, when I was skimming through the news for this week, since you brought up the X-Files, David Duchovny, I don't know, he recently did an interview. I'm not sure what he was promoting, but he did mention that he had tried out, he auditioned for all 3 leads of Full House. And he thought it was going to change his life, but he just couldn't figure out the sitcom acting. But yeah, that'd have been quite a different direction if we had David Duchovny as Uncle Jesse or Uncle Joey or something like that.
Yeah, very much so. What was it that never mind. I was trying to figure out someone else who almost got cast for something not important. But the last thing I wanted to mention on the X-Files was aspect ratios, Jim. How much of a stickler are you for watching a show in the original aspect ratio? Because the X-Files, of course, started in 1993. It's a 4:3 show. It's not widescreen. Yeah. But if you want to watch it in HD, you kind of have to watch it widescreen these days. And it's not like in Buffy, for Buffy, you can find widescreen episodes and you're like, oh, this doesn't seem like it's been cropped in, so it's okay. But then you're like, that's literally a camera in the corner. You can see, because they just take the raw footage and remaster it and like widen it or whatever. So that's not great either. Like, obviously, for me, I always want to see whatever the original thing was, the original intention. I mean, people frame shots a certain way for a reason, right? To communicate something. So you're totally losing that if all of a sudden it's extra wide and there's a fucking camera in there. But you're also losing it by cropping in, which is what people would usually do for a show like X-Files. And I can tell I'm watching it widescreen just because I can't watch it in standard definition on my TV. It would not work. It would look absolutely disgusting. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing widescreen. I'm just not happy about it.
Yeah, I'm not too bad with it. I mean, because I rewatched Buffy and they're all in widescreen, and there are websites dedicated to all the gaffes and mistakes because of that. But honestly, when I was watching, I didn't really notice any of it, even though some of it can be plain as day. But I guess I'm just so engrossed and caught up in the story. The only time I really cared was the whole thing with The Simpsons, where they did like a crop thing, because then like actual jokes were being cut out of like some of the visual gags. But yeah, I think the crop in probably is worse, because I think that would distract me, because you would just kind of could notice that, oh, like this person's like head is cut off, or this shot looks really bizarre because they're trying to make it widescreen for the shot. I guess the only thing that did weird, I think I was trying to watch, when I rewatched Buffy, the musical was shot in widescreen, but then I think it was formatted weird in the streaming, so I had to watch it on the DVD. But then that's a 4:3 widescreen, so right. you're even blocked in a bit more. So it was fun.
Yeah, I just want to people don't appreciate how you choose to frame something. That's visual communication, baby. That's storytelling. That's television, man. And the TVs used to be fucking 4:3 squares, idiot boxes. And I want to. Do I need to become the weirdo who's buying like a CRT television to watch the X-Files as it was originally intended? Maybe so. Yeah. Maybe I won't react as much to some of the cheesiness, because I won't fucking see the level of detail of the plastic masks, right? Like, I don't know. It just pissed me off when I was like, this is fully wrong. They've cropped this like an absolute asshole. So anyway, that's... one last thing on it. One episode, like all the supernatural stuff was like flashing lights, and I am not epileptic, but I was like, I'm almost having a seizure just from like the amount of flashing lights. Like, this would not fly today. You'd have to have some sort of warning, because it was extended periods of time when it's just flashing white, black, like really bright. And I just was like, man, how much things have changed. What TV shows have you been watching? Tell me, I gotta know.
Did you have another one, or did you want me to go?
I mean, I'm watching House of the Dragon. We're 4 episodes in at the time of the recording of this. Very briefly, I'll say episode 3, I was fully bored. I was watching it like Jim was right. Who gives a shit? Because as I said, I didn't do the rewatch, so I'm not that invested in all these fucking conversations. Then episode 4 happened, and then I was, instead of being fully bored, I was just fully upset, because there's a lot of dragons fighting, and apparently that triggers the same part of my brain that, how if an animal gets hurt in a movie or TV show, it's so much worse than if a human does. So these animals are hurt. These dragons are hurting each other. Fully computer generated. But I was upset about it. That was a well put together episode. There was big battles, etc. You know, the stuff you want. I get why people like it. I kind of liked it, but yeah, it's all upsetting. Everything's going to shit. But that's the whole point of this show, I think. So there, it's going okay.
I mean, it is amazing when they can get you to really care for a CG dragon. Because I mean, yeah, that shit gets to me as well. But that's just shows that's good story. Well, not necessarily good storytelling, but you know, hey, it's effective storytelling, I guess.
That's it.
What TV shows have you been watching? Tell me, I gotta know.
I did watch an older Australian Survivor finale. We don't need to get too much into it. It was from a couple of years ago.
Hey, let's get into it, Jim. This is our podcast. We're talking about what we want.
I think it's season 8 of Australian Survivor. Although my output with Australian Survivor has dropped down a little bit. I think it's just because it's very similar to Big Brother. They have more episodes of Australian Survivor than like we do here of like U.S. Survivor. Australian Survivor also goes more days. We used to do.
Are there any? This is no AI in it yet, then?
No,
this is
not
from
yet.
A few years ago.
These
Okay,
are old
cool.
ones, yeah. So who knows?
Right.
We used to do 39 days, and then post COVID, they do 26 days here in the States. So it's a very like kind of shortened game, but it's supposed to be everything's amped up. You get less resources, you have more teams, more challenges. But in Australian Survivor, they do, I think, 50 days or 49 days or something like that. And they start with more people, but it's aired like Big Brother. They do like 3 episodes a week. So it's like you'll be seeing multiple people be sent home all week. So when I watch it now on my rewatch binge, sometimes it's turned into a bit of a like, especially for the first half of the season, since there's so many people, it's hard to even juggle who's who, and you even get to know anyone because they're being sent home. It's very much a background show that I have on while I'm like looking at my phone or doing other stuff. And sometimes they'll have challenges, and I'm just fast forwarding through the challenges because it's like, all right, well, let's get to who's going to be sent home. But I mean, I still enjoy
what
it.
is this? The challenge? Huh?
Yeah, exactly. But I still enjoy it, and you know, they had a politician by the name of George who was like they dubbed him the cockroach because they kept trying to get rid of him. They couldn't get rid of him, and he's very slick-tongued politician. Always had schemes up his sleeve, but he was also kind of like a smarmy, like non-athletic guy. So he got all like, it was a brains versus brawn season. So he would get all the tough guys out. He was the last man standing. But then in the challenges, he would just give up because he was just like physically like, I can't do some of this stuff. So he thought he was going to get by on just his charm and like, you know, his snake-tongued politician ways. But he didn't win in the end. Spoiler alert. It was given to, I mean, spoilers for 2021 or not 2019 Survivor Australia. It was given to Haley, who was a very deserving winner. She had a great final travel console. She really swayed and won those votes, and I was very happy to see her win. So now it's on to a new season. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Brilliant. I can't believe you didn't play the spoiler song.
Yeah.
Tell me, I gotta know.
But the other show I've been watching, because I've actually been behind on The Boys. I know you're like way behind on The Boys, but we're not
I'm
talking
way
about
behind
The Boys
on
yet.
Okay, leave it. Go on.
Well, I was just gonna say no, but go ahead and say why you're way behind.
Someone got their dick lasered off, and I was like, I've seen this before. I was like, this is just. I get it. No, I think the many plot lines that I didn't give a shit about and everything, it just kind of it didn't launch me back into the show with the velocity I would have liked, you know?
And I mean, I've been keeping up with the Acolyte, but we're gonna save that till next week because we got the finale tomorrow as of this recording.
I'll have one short thing to say, which is something I've not been watching because I put it on and I was like,
Just wait.
It's another fucking flashback episode. And I was just I'm not doing this. I'm not watching. Because I know if I leave it and watch multiple in a row, I might have a better experience. In fact, that's what other people said about previous parts of the season where I had waited and then watched through, and I was like, that wasn't that bad. Didn't have time to get upset about the bullshit. But I was watching the start of an episode. I was like, this kind of seems like bullshit.
Well, since you brought that up, that episode. This most recent episode, in episode 3, which I already didn't like, it should have been one bad episode instead of 2 bad episodes. That's really all I'll say.
I could not believe it's the finale. 2 episodes out of 8, Jim.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to finish up this next episode. No way, man. Anyway, I can't believe we almost thought the show was good.
I still am kind of on board with it outside of those flashback episodes. I'm not loving, and it is going to be dependent on how this finale plays out. But we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But since I'm almost getting off topic, let me bring us back.
What TV shows have you been watching? Tell me, I gotta know.
I have watched the first 2 episodes. I think that's all that have aired so far as of this recording of a little show called Hard Knocks Offseason. Now, this is American football for you, Jacob. This is USA, baby. This is the NFL. Now, the NFL, right. I don't know if you know. Well, I guess you know a little bit about, not really NFL films. NFL films, one of the best things about the NFL is their documentaries and their footage, and especially NFL films. They have such great insight and great between editing and just the stuff they are already archiving. They can put together amazing packages. Now, I know you watched some of the Patriots documentary, but I don't think technically that was NFL films. That was done by the Robert Kraft company or whatever.
Though I was impressed, I was obviously they had cameras back then and they were using them, but I was just I didn't expect them to have this good coverage of everything and such cinematic footage of everything going on. So is that kind of the vibe you're getting in these documentaries?
Exactly. Well, because HBO has done Hard Knocks for years, and it's always an awesome show because the best thing about it is it's usually it's not even a team you like. Because a lot of the way Hard Knocks started initially is they'll do a preseason. They'll do it's anywhere from 6 to 8 episodes about the preseason of a team. Usually it's a bad team because if you're a good team, you're hey, we're working on stuff. We don't need the distraction of having extra filmmakers and sound guys and interviews and all this stuff. So usually they'll pick a bad team that's just trying to rebuild or do something. And they put out a weekly show about what and is going on during preseason. Preseason, they'll have 4 games, usually end of summer. Yeah. So mid-July to August, mid-July, they're getting ready. And then through August are the games. And then the season starts in September. And it's always been a good show. They'll follow a team and you get to see the coaches working with players and how those play out in the preseason game, which are basically practice games, they're exhibition games where usually starters only play a little bit of the beginning because you don't want to risk them getting hurt in a game that is essentially meaningless. It's just to kind of get your bearings back before the season starts. But they've been expanding the show a bit. Last year they did one during season with one of the teams. And then this year, I believe this is the first time they've done this. This is more in the off season. So they're following this. They're following. Why am I spacing on the team? Oh, the Giants, New York Giants. Because the New York Giants, they only won 6 games last year. So even though takes place in January of this past year, even though other teams are still in the playoffs, they're getting ready for the Super Bowl. This is a shitty team that has not made the playoffs, but the season doesn't end for the business guys. They're already looking at who's on the roster, whose contracts are up, because with the NFL, you have what's called a salary cap. So, you have a paltry $245 million to build a team. It's what are you supposed to do here? Jacob?
May as well go home. Just go to Vegas, put it all on black. Hope for maybe we can get a decent team if we double it. Yeah.
And never mind, there are ways around that where they do like signing bonuses and other stuff that don't necessarily count towards the salary cap. But this follows like a general manager of a team who's like different than the coach. They're more of the business guy that's like working for the owners specifically to hire the coaches, hire the teams. And so it's great. I mean, because technically a lot of this stuff, you already know how it plays out. I mean, I don't follow off-season stuff, so I don't know, but I could easily Google, like, oh, who'd they sign? Who is this? But even if you know that stuff, it's, like, just really well-done drama in the way it's edited and put together. And Liev Schreiber is the narrator. He played Cotton Weary in the Scream films. And I just love it. I'm excited for... I assume it's going to be a different team when we get into the preseason Hard Knocks, but right now... It's interesting seeing the more business side of football and how you have this guy that's essentially running a corporation in a lot of ways, being like, all right, well, we have this player who's going to hit us for X amount of millions, but we'd rather spend that money somewhere else. So how are we going to tell him, you know, hey, we don't want to renew your contract or we don't want to keep you. You can go out and see what another team's going to offer you. Give us the opportunity to maybe match it if we want. And also they do a thing like they're getting ready for the draft. So they're going to the combine, which is where you see college players try out and they interview them. You see some of the more behind the scenes stuff of how it's like essentially a job interview. Like they'll be telling them, oh, write a play up on the board. And then they'll try to like trick them with the play, or they'll ask them dumb things like, you know, how do you react to when your team loses, or how do you react to if you're a wide receiver and the quarterback's not throwing it to you? Like, are you going to talk shit? And of course, people will be like, "Oh no, of course not. I would never talk shit to the quarterback. That's not something I would ever do. And I hate losing. I love to win." Anyway, it's just well done.
What's the format here? Like, because you mentioned some films or whatever. Like, is this a TV show? How many episodes? How long are the episodes? What are you watching here?
Well, I mostly mention NFL films just because it's like I appreciate that they've always had the foresight to have like they do have like film cameras filming these games, and like even for stuff they're not using for the live watching the game, they have that archive where they could pull and edit these things and make it cinematic. But yeah, I know there are at least 2 episodes. I don't know how many episodes there are going to be for this off-season version of Hard Knocks, but it's on HBO. So it's like a combination of like HBO films and NFL films. HBO has always put together good documentaries. So it's like that same caliber. And you know, you're in there with the coaches, you're in there with the players. They build drama off of like, same as if you're watching a sports movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, here's this young upstart that no one will give a chance. Like maybe they'll sign him to the team. Maybe he'll make the practice squad, or maybe this poor guy who's been trying his heart out, he's going to get cut. Like when you get into more of the regular version of Hard Knocks, you'll meet the players and like their family and stuff. So you're more invested in some, typically it would be a nobody, like, oh, that's number 88 on the Cowboys or something. But now that you've watched this, you're like, it's like Friday Night Lights or some shit where you're like, oh no, his dad Tommy's going to be really bummed that he missed the tackle or something like that. You know what I mean? So it just adds that extra drama where I feel like even if you're not into football, it's in the same way that you could watch Friday Night Lights and enjoy it, or any sports show, or I assume what sports anime might be like. You can watch those things. You could watch this and just kind of get invested because it's more like a combination of the sports and the people side of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not too into sports myself, very into sports movies and TV.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounds pretty promising. The most popular sport in Ireland where I live is GAA, Gaelic football, and the players don't get paid. So kind of like that's like college football over in the US, right? The people don't get paid. Yeah, it's like that. So wait, sorry, 240 million for one team is how much? So is that a cap that's set by like the NFL so that people to level the playing field?
Yeah, because other sports
that's mad because the cap it's the same idea with the GAA. The cap is just 0.
Yeah. I don't follow baseball that closely, so I assume it's the same as when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, Baseball doesn't have that. So a team like the New York Yankees has so much more money, they can go out and just sign all the big names. And that's why they used to dominate. I mean, that's changed a bit, so I don't know if they've made adjustments like a salary cap. But the NFL tries to have parity, even though it's like, there's an insane amount of money being thrown around. But it is to keep one organization from being able to just buy up every single name player and try to dominate the league. Even though it still kind of happens here and there.
Yeah. I mean, all sports are extremely corrupt, I find. Apparently, like, that's just the thing that happens. But then maybe that's just when you organize anything that involves a lot of money, that's just kind of what happens with human nature, maybe. Can't really blame the sports necessarily. But since this is called the off-season, does that mean it's going to end before they get into the season? Or, like, are we going to... the emotional climax can't be the traditional sports movie emotional climax, really, can it?
Yeah, I feel like it just has to, maybe it culminates with the draft, because I don't know how many episodes there is. Like a big thing with the off season is the draft. Like you have, your regular re-signings, like who are you keeping from last year? Who are you letting go? Then you have like a free agency, meaning like other teams let people go. Are we going to make a run to try to sign someone? Do we have the money to make that work? Then you have a trade deadline of like, you have till this date where we can work a trade with another team for a player we're trying to get. And then, then the draft is with all the new spring chickens from college are coming up. And again, that also involves maneuvering on if you can trade your spots for a player or trade your picks for an earlier or later pick, whatever it might be, stuff like that. So
all right.
This is the first season of off season, so I don't know where usually with the other ones, it picks up with like the other one that takes place during preseason. The climax is like who made the team, who didn't, because it's all about practice. If you're on the line, those preseason games are kind of the telling point of like, oh, we've seen you in a preseason game, really show that you have talent. We want you on the team, or you missed your opportunities. We're going to cut you. And maybe another team will pick you up, that type of deal.
Right, that makes sense. All right, cool. What else?
That's really all I've been watching. So I guess from there, I mean, did you have another one?
No.
All right,
I'm excited to maybe do a rapid five or top five.
Yeah, I think we'll have to get into a little. Oh, didn't play. What the fuck?
Yeah, this one never plays because it's too fast.
It never works, and I actually had it. I had it queued up. Anyways, we're getting into a goddamn rapid fire. For people that don't know, people love making top fives or top tens or whatever, but it takes forever to do it, and you're sitting there. People will deny this till the end of days, but you know that you'll put something on there because you want to either look cool or you want to have something that someone else doesn't have on their top five. So what we do is we take all that questioning outside of it. What we do is we go ahead and we give ourselves 30 we give ourselves a topic off of a board, and we have 30 seconds to come up with our top five. To me, that's the only true way to actually have a top five, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's why it's called I think we keep saying it wrong, but it's rapid fiver top five. So there's a pun in there. It's rapid fire, but rapid fiver. And we're gonna pick a random topic. It's incredibly stressful. I hate it. And yeah, I guess we're doing it. It's basic. 30 seconds is not a lot of time. You have to think of what the things. You have to because some of these are a bit more obscure as well. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see.
All right, let's go ahead and spin the wheel. Let's go for our rapid fiver. And okay, they are right. This is tough. Top five shows based on true stories, and we begin. Oh, we got a little extra second there.
Oh, thank God.
2.
Great. I got I got 2 also. But I'm not putting my pen down. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
I can't.
Give me a
okay.
second. I just want to try to think because I couldn't even think of a lot. That's how
I know.
That's how entrenched I am in fiction. Like
I
this
fucking
should-
run a podcast that's all about this shit. And I could barely think of ones either. But there's fucking loads. There's loads.
Yeah, I was gonna
Jim.
say this should have been you on a plate, dude. This should have been.
I can't
your
do
thing.
anything in 30 seconds. When I'm put on the spot, I just fucking panic. That's what happens, apparently.
And that's the genius of the rapid fire. So I've removed that from the wheel. All right. So, hold on, let me fix this here. So, do you want to go? I mean, do you want to go first then?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
so, what's your
wait,
number 2? Since we both got 2.
Well, actually, I didn't put my pen down. I just jotted down
right.
a few more there, so I kind of cheated there.
Okay.
So I do have 5 of them. They're not necessarily my top 5. I still did it very quickly.
No,
but
they are your. No, that's the rules of the game. This is your top 5.
No, yeah. Good point. Okay, number 5 is Queen's Gambit,
Oh, okay. I didn't even think of that. I'd never seen it though either. So,
which
all right.
is arguably not based on a true story now that I think about it. So I don't even think it's eligible necessarily because everyone thought it was like, oh, I want to learn about the true person, but she's not a real person. Inspired by true events, maybe. So that's my
Okay.
number 5. I don't think it actually is eligible or belongs on this list.
Okay. All right. So, what do you got for number 4?
Number 4 for me is Vikings, the TV show Vikings.
Okay.
It's
I've
pretty
never seen it.
It's pretty good. It's got a lot of ups and downs. I haven't actually seen all the seasons. It goes on for a long while, but I know the first couple of seasons there are pretty good.
Okay. And what's your
but I just
number?
keep going with mine. Yeah. So my number 3 one is John Adams. So that's a TV show based on, the founding father, John Adams. It's pretty good. It's actually, hang on, let me pull it up real quick.
Now, while you're pulling that up, let me say that's my number 2, and I've never seen it. But
did you Google like historic?
I didn't Google. No, it
Okay.
popped in my head because my parents loved it at the time. So like I was trying to think. I was like, oh my god, what are like shows based off of real events? And for whatever reason, that popped in my head. Because that has what's his name in it as Adams,
Paul
right?
Giamatti. Paul
yes.
Giamatti is yeah. So who we've lauded before on this very podcast, I believe. So yeah,
Yep.
he's very good in it, as you can imagine. Very very good cranky John Adams. So and it's a good show. I don't think I actually finished it either, but what I've seen is very good. Number 2. On my list, I'm actually pretty happy with this list now that I cheated basically and added 3 more to it very quickly. Number 2 on my list is Boardwalk Empire.
I can't believe I didn't think of that because I mean
Yeah.
I don't Google during the moment, but I Googled it
Yeah.
after to be like, what am I forgetting? And yeah, I should have thought of Boardwalk Empire, but I did not.
See, my strategy is I know I can't think of stuff, so I just Google the theme. I Google like based
You're
on a true story TV show, and then I'm scrolling through and I'm just taking them all in. I'm like, which ones of these go on my list? Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, Jim. I wouldn't have had any. I would just panic. Something about the music.
I think that can't be allowed. But I mean, we'll discuss it. We'll see.
We will discuss it.
So, what's your number 1?
My number 1, I guess, is the TV show Rome. Yeah, it's called Rome. It's
Never seen
about
it
Roman
either.
history. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's probably I wouldn't put it as my number 1, but it is my number 1.
I'm actually.
It is,
I'm sorry, go ahead. I mean to interrupt. Keep going.
it's an early HBO production, BBC co-production, and it's kind of where you see them flexing some of the chops that then got them Game of Thrones, basically. Like, it's a lot of Game of Thrones type stuff, but it's all set in Roman history.
I have heard people like kind of upset that Game of Thrones got shine and Rome didn't, because I think Rome ended up getting canceled, or I believe, or maybe they gave them a shot to like kind of wrap it up, but wrap it up ahead of time.
Yeah, season 2 is very, like, they rush a lot of attempts at history into a short amount of time with not as much budget as it would have needed, basically. But season 1 is very good, and season 2 is pretty good as well.
I'm actually very happy with my number 1, which is like the only thing that popped in my head is Band of Brothers. Have you seen Band of Brothers? I can't believe it's not on your list.
I haven't seen all of Band of Brothers. I've seen a few episodes, basically. Classic Jacob answer.
But I feel like now this is when we get to Google, because this is when we get to see what we've forgotten. And there is a Reddit thread, although when is this from? Oh, from 2 months ago. TV shows based on true events. And a lot of people saying Band of Brothers, so I feel highly vindicated. Let me see. I'm looking for
Shogun. Shogun is fucking excellent. I can't believe I didn't put Shogun on there. That would have been on there for me. Franklin is a TV show I've mentioned on here. Would not be on there. Not a strong recommend for Franklin, really.
Someone's Baby Reindeer. I mean, I guess that's recent, right? I mean, I haven't watched it, so I can't. But sometimes I feel like something is almost too recent. But then again, this is why we do a rapid fiver. Because in my mind, when I'm trying to think of a top 5, maybe even if I watch Baby Reindeer and I loved it, in my mind I'll be like, yeah, but is it too recent that it shouldn't be on my list? That's where the rapid fiver comes in, because you don't even have time to think about that. You just think like, this is a thing, put it on the list. Yeah. The Offer, which we did watch, I don't know if that would be on a top 5. I mean, I didn't hate it or anything, but 4 Lives, Blackbird, I don't know any of these. Oh, Manhunt, which I've never seen. The Crown, I've never seen. Did you watch The Crown?
No, a lot of people like it. I watched the start of it, was like, fucking royals, don't care.
It is funny because it does seem like this is quite a topic that we are especially dumb upon. Dumb as far as it's concerned. Like, even though you do host a real history, although how many series? What's the percentage between films that you discuss to like a TV series though?
Just scrolling through the episodes now, and it is mostly movies, to be fair. When we do TV shows, we usually do, like, we've done Rome, so that one, stuck out to me. But we do, often we'll do a multi-part series. Yeah, Vikings and Rome we've done. Maybe there's something else in there as well, but both of those have, 4 parts or 3 parts or whatever. So, because usually if it's a TV show like that, Vikings, the TV show, is extremely ambitious and attempts to cover the whole Viking age, basically condense it into one TV show. So that's a lot of history to cover. So that had to be a multi-part series. That's why the movies are bread and butter.
Yeah,
on Real History at showswhatyouknow.com.
I haven't watched Narcos, but I'm from an outside perspective. I know that's kind of based off real things, but I don't know. I guess there is some room for interpretation, but I feel like isn't that highly dramatized? Are they pulling off? I mean, maybe that's something for Real History to tackle, because someone else brings up in this Reddit thread, the People versus O.J. Simpson. Any of these Ryan Murphy shows, it's almost annoying to me that people will watch them now, and that becomes the historical Bible in a way, because there's no doubt in my mind they're making the most melodrama choices for real events to make it a TV show. So at that point, it almost stops becoming an historical document.
Jim, do I have a podcast for you?
Yes.
Well, that's Ridley Scott. That's a good example of Ridley Scott. In Napoleon, he just kind of he has Napoleon just fire his guns on the pyramids for no reason, just kind of to show his dominance over Egypt or whatever, which I personally am I don't hate that so much, but it's just there are other things you're not including in order to do this. Or rather, Mel Gibson will take something that's a true event, like Braveheart, right? Braveheart's based on a true story, obviously, and just remold it into a much more fun and interesting and exciting story, and that will get people into maybe learning about the history, versus if you're just changing things. Basically, you can change as much as you want, in my view, as long as you make it an entertaining story, and then that will hopefully get people engaged enough to actually learn what really happened. But Braveheart, obviously, surface level, they didn't have blue face paint back then, but also fucking William Wallace did not have sex with Isabella of France, the sort of wife of the king, and they're implying basically that Mel Gibson's son becomes Edward the fucking something or other, becomes king. Like, that obviously didn't happen. And one would hope that people watching it would go like, oh yeah, we can realize that didn't happen. But that's why real history exists, to separate the real history from the real history.
Yeah. Well, because people also have, what was the one I was just reading? And I was like, that's kind of, people have like Tokyo Vice. But didn't you mention that like, it's not like the book really? Like,
but I would say it is still I'd say that's close enough where it's like you could put, I don't know, that's like that is definitely feels like it's inspired by true events. But I think maybe like that would still be okay, I think, to put on this list. But yeah, no, it definitely is not a historical document, None of that shit really happened.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, kind of a blind spot for us as far as a category, but that's why we do it, and that's what pushes us through to use our minds and make our own top 5 or a top 2 in my case.
Yeah.
Chernobyl is a big one. I'd never seen it though, but I've heard great things about Chernobyl. That is something I've always been meaning
I
to
almost put it on there even though I haven't seen it. I was like, I'm sure this is good. People tell me.
Well, Jacob, once again, we're like, hey, well, we don't have a lot to talk about. We're an hour and 10 minutes in. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out in this off week, I guess.
Yeah, kicking it, as we said.
Yeah. And stay tuned for next week as we'll be back to discuss the first 5 episodes of the end of Cobra Kai, of the first portion of their mini season trilogy, apparently. The first 5 of their last 15 episodes. We'll also be reporting back on the Acolyte finale and whatever else news is going on. So what are your top 5 television shows based on real events? Let us know at showswhatyouknow@gmail.com. Comment
or
on
leave a comment
YouTube,
on youtube.com/showswhatyouknow. Sorry to cut you off there, but we were thinking the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else to add, Jacob?
That's it. Looking forward to it. We our show's what you know. We'll always watch TV, and if you think we can't, we'll watch more and you'll see. That's why the people of the web believe in Jim from Las Vegas and Jacob from Sweden.